on Underdog. Please use code RWPicks for a special offer there. Ryan, it's week 7. Why don't you tell us what you like in Underdog this week?
Sure. Started off in one of the marquee games of the week. Got undefeated Vikings at home to the 5-1 Lions. These have been the two of the fastest teams in football this year. They're tied in first in average combined plays. Their games have been fruitful for fantasy, and now they play each other inside of a dome. The Vikings get a big boost because Aiden Hutchinson, the Lions, lost him for the season last week. Real tough loss for them. He was among the favorites for Defensive Player of the Year. But it should mean Sam Darnold has a pretty clean pocket for most of the game. You know, everybody targeted this spot last week for the Cowboys, home to the Lions, but Dak and the offense just wasn't good enough. I think coming off a bye, Kevin O'Connell preparing the team, you know, the Vikings have looked great so far.
Yep.
All the numbers seem a little bit low if we get some back and forth scoring in this game. The first one I like is Jordan Addison, higher than 51.5, coming off a season high targets. Vikings really no tight ends to speak of. Really the target tree is condensed to Jefferson and Addison, and he can get there with one play just with how explosive he is, and you know, Darnold targets him deep. So I like Addison higher, and then on the other side of that game, Jahmyr Gibbs to go higher than his 21.5 receiving yards. Right. He's gone higher than that number in 3 of 5 games this season, but really the Lions have had some poor scripts for throwing to running backs. They've just gotten out to big leads. They've been big favorites in a lot of games. There's been a lot of blowouts. This is the first time all season that they're underdogs. So I think Gibbs has multiple different scripts where he gets there. If the Lions are trailing late, he should go higher than 21.5 yards easy. So I like those two this week. What about you, Scott?
Man, is that a fun game, by the way. We got some great games this weekend. My first one, I'm going to go Seattle Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf, higher than 67.5 receiving yards. I think this number is just too low. He was quiet against the Niners. He ran into the hyena, Diamador Lenore, who talked a lot of trash after the game. But DK still had 11 targets in that game. He was 3 for 48, had a 60-yard touchdown called back by an illegal shift penalty, like nothing to do with he did in the play or affected the play. But he could have had a really big game. This number would be higher if that was the case. The Falcons, who they're playing, they play a lot of zone. DK gets heavily targeted against zone. The Falcons are 30th in points per game in the NFL to wide receiver ones. I think DK flies higher than 67.5 receiving yards this week. So I really like that one right there. And I'm also going to go with another receiver here as my second one starting off. I like Terry McLaurin, higher than 65.5 receiving yards. This is a great matchup. Carolina is bad in all aspects against wide receiver, kind of all aspects anyway. You got to hope that Andy Dalton can keep Carolina in the game a little bit. But McLaurin has a 100-plus yards or a touchdown in 4 straight games. He had 2 TDs last week. I know we're not playing TDs, but give me the higher than 65.5 receiving yards. Carolina plays a lot of cover 3 in defense. McLaurin has a lot of targets so far this year against cover 3. I just think it lines up perfectly for Washington to kind of do what they want. I think 65.5, just too low for McLaurin. I think he goes higher than that number. Any others you like before we jump out of here? Any bonus selections on Underdog this week from you?
Yeah, I like both of those. I got 2, and one really goes with Metcalf, and that's Geno Smith. His numbers 262.5. He's gone higher than that and way higher than that in 5 consecutive games. The Seahawks are throwing more than any team in the NFL, 70%. And this game, you know, their underdogs, has a chance to go back and forth. So I really like Geno higher than 262.5. And the other one is David Njoku for the Browns tight end, higher than 41.5. You know, they just traded Amari Cooper to the Bills. It's actually a good matchup for passing against this Bengals secondary. And Deshaun Watson hasn't really been able to throw deep. If he's going to be successful, you'd think it'll be short, mid-range targets to Njoku. I think we see him draw 10 targets in this spot. He's good enough to take that for, higher than 41.5 yards. Other numbers in that game, too, even Elijah Moore in the slot, 28.5 yards. I think he should benefit from Amari Cooper not being there anymore. So, you know, the Browns have been pretty bad, haven't been targeting them at all, but those are some low numbers. So I think they can go higher.
Yeah, I think that figuring out who gets the ball in Cleveland is a really important thing to do this week across fantasy, whether it be underdog, DFS, season long. Figuring out who's filling that void for Cooper is really big. I'll give you one bonus one. So we got about a minute left here. Someone I don't like in DFS because I think he's priced a little too highly, but in underdog, I really like Xavier Worthy, higher than 38.5 receiving yards. He's really highly priced in DFS. I think the hype of game one still there, but he played a lot of slot a week ago. I like him this week. He had 6 targets last week. I just think the Chiefs and Niners, should go back and forth a little bit. I think the Chiefs are going to have to throw the ball, have to score. The Niners should score, although Steve Spagnuolo kind of has Kyle's number so far. But I think Xavier Worthy higher than 38.5 receiving yards. I think it's time for him to make a big play. I know it's been a lot of Travis Kelce since Rashee Rice has been out, but I really like Worthy. I like that kind of fast receiver against the Niners gives them troubles. Fast quarterbacks, fast receivers. I think Worthy makes one big play this week and goes higher than 38.5 receiving yards. So we want to thank everybody for listening. As always, we really enjoyed doing some underdog. Ryan's been really hot lately. I was not here the last couple weeks, but Ryan has been rolling. So good news there. Hopefully we can keep that going. Again, if you want to join on Underdog, use code RWPicks for a special bonus offer there. Good luck this week, and we'll be back at you next week with more picks on Underdog. Take care.
Good luck, everybody.